They used to say location, 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 but maybe it's product, product, product. That's this week on Motoring 2007.
TSN's Motoring 2007 is brought to you by Q from Quaker State. Unleash all your horses. And Michelin, a better way forward.
Dale, first of all, there used to be an old adage, you know, win on Sunday, race on Monday. There's a lot of stars. Sell on Monday, sorry. Well, that, of course, was the late Dale Earnhardt correcting me on the old racing adage, win on Sunday and sell on Monday. And you know, true or not, it is the reason a lot of car companies are involved in racing of all kinds. It's the reason they spend millions of dollars in racing as well as marketing in hopes of getting some success into the showroom. But you know, there is one car company I think is having a hard time buying into this philosophy. This car company has won the Dakar Rally, considered the Ironman of all rallies 12 times in the past 7 years. The car company is Mitsubishi. So what's the problem? Well, despite all the success, only 2% of Canadians actually think of Mitsubishi when they want to buy a new car. So what's the problem? Well, many consider it's simply a lack of new product. That, of course, has changed. We've seen the new and improved Spyder and Galant, and this week we're in beautiful, sunny Southern California to check out the new Outlander and new Lancer in what Mitsubishi is calling the most important introduction in the company's history.
Not many people in Canada follow Dakar, but what we're using it as is a platform to help push the reliability, durability of our products. What you may have seen in the fall of last year was a Dakar rally story pushing the athleticism, the reliability, durability behind the Mitsubishi brand. What you're going to see is an all-new Outlander commercial that we actually shot here in Canada. It's the first Canadian commercial shot by Mitsubishi, and it's all about the Outlander, but it really crystallizes the importance of a rally-proven heritage in next-generation products from Mitsubishi.
2007 Mitsubishi Outlander.
You know what strikes me about that, Brad, is that how honest Feuders is about that. I mean, he makes no bones about it. I think he said 98% of the people that go shopping for a new car, Mitsubishi is not even on the list. They don't even think in terms of Mitsubishi. I think it's quite good for him to admit that. I guess it gives him a starting point. But yeah, he's right. I mean, Mitsubishi aren't even on the map in Canada. They should be, and then maybe they will be, but no, they're not just yet.
We're excited about the direction that the company's going, but even more excited about the new products that you're going to see and experience for the very first time today. Next generation Lancer and next generation Outlander, I think, are vehicles that are really going to hit the market strong.
Well, one of the things I really like about it is this is a compact sedan that you have no shame in taking to a valet parking car. This looks like a very premium, high-level car, and that's really great because it, you know, in this compact segment, there's a lot of cars that have that economy car look to them, and this car has a very prestige look, a very sporty look, a very driver-oriented look, and that's very exciting. I think my favorite view is the front three-quarter. This car has the distinctive features, this trapezoidal-shaped grille and the kind of the squinty headlights coming off the side. It has a very sporty look, it has a very aggressive look, and so I think that's the view that really shows the true characteristic of this car.
There's an all-new engine. It's a collaboration with Hyundai and DCX, 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, 152 horsepower, so it's actually 32 horsepower more than the previous generation. Obviously, it's going to make for a great jump in performance on this vehicle. Standard transmission is a 5-speed manual. We've shortened the gear lever throw, so it's sportier feeling, a little more like the Evolution. And then the optional transmission for this vehicle is a CVT, which is all new from Mitsubishi. It's the first time we've had a CVT in a vehicle in Canada.
I have to say that the Lancer previous generation almost looked old after about 2 months after it came out. It was starting to look like the classic Japanese sedans of the mid to late 80s. But now the Lancer seems to be realizing that if it's going to be having any form of presence in the marketplace, it really has to have a little bit of an edge. And I have to admit, in this particular price segment, there's nothing wrong with having something that has a little bit of aggressive look to it. And I think they've accomplished that well. Plus, I have to say that the power of that new 4-cylinder is very impressive.
This is based just on a very quick drive. The Lancer needs more power. I know they bumped the power up to 150 odd. It still needs more. Very buzzy on the highway. In fifth gear at any kind of speed, it really buzzes. And a lot of NVH, noise, vibration, harshness coming up through the pavement. I don't know, maybe these are pre-production models, whatever. I just felt that the quality was there, but there was just a few things missing. I think it needs more power. Oh, I think it looks killer. I think it's a good-looking car. It looks very European. They mentioned that the Alpha 156, which is sold in Europe, was one of the design models for the car. I think that works well. I think it's as good looking as anything else in this market.
If you look at the profile of our Dakar race car, the distinctive factor of it is it has kind of a tapering roof and large wheel flares, and the wheels are thrust out at the corners. And if you look at the Outlander, it's got a lot of those same styling features. The roof tapers down, the belt line kind of kicks up. It's got these muscular wheel flares that kind of stick out from the body. And so there's a lot of the inspiration from the Dakar car has come onto the Outlander.
This is the first all-new Outlander for Canada. Previous generation we had for the past 5 years. This is a completely new vehicle, a new platform, new engine offering as well, new transmission. We've got a 6-speed Sportronic transmission in the vehicle. V6 is now the standard engine for the Outlander. We had a 4-cylinder in the previous generation.
The Canadian marketplace, there's roughly 1.55 million cars every year sold in this country. So every one of us is standing here in front of you telling you how we're going to take market share. We believe we've got a pretty good dynamic, pushing the performance envelope in the vehicles you'll drive today, but backing those cars with the reliability and durability that customers have grown to love with our brand.
Now sometimes you'll find diamonds in the most unlikely places. More later on Kenzie's Corner.
A lot of people have said it sure doesn't look like the new Mini Cooper S. Drive it and it's a totally different story. That's this week on Test Drive. From the look side, it almost takes parking the old Mini next to the new one to appreciate the subtle differences and the 60mm stretch in overall length. The most discernible differences are found in the front and rear fascia treatments and the taller hood line. The latter is kinder to pedestrians when the worst happens because of the space between the engine and the hood. It allows the needed deformation, which helps to cushion what could be a lethal blow. The single biggest change to this new Mini is found right under here. Now this engine now uses direct injection, which is the best way of getting the fuel into the combustion chamber, and a new twin-scroll turbocharger in place of the last year's supercharger. Now what this turbo does, it eliminates turbo lag. Therefore you've got 177 pound-feet of torque, anywhere between 1,600 and 5,000 RPM. That not only makes this engine very quick, it's very flexible and a vast improvement. The new 172 horsepower 1.6 litre 4-banger also features a sport button which remaps the throttle and sharpens the steering, and a neat party trick. Whenever the driver demands even more urgency, the turbo momentarily increases its boost pressure from 11.75 to 14.7 pounds per square inch. This 3-pound boost increases the peak torque to 192 pound-feet, which gives the car a serious performance injection. It's a hoot, especially when hauling out of a fast corner. This new Mini is all about the driver. To begin with, fabulous front seats and a very nice steering wheel that's got a good heft to it. The other thing I do like is the fact that the relationship between the seat and the steering wheel and the seat and the pedals is just about perfect. On the other side, I'd like to see a boost gauge for the turbo, and the radio controls are a little too convoluted and you feel like you're playing a Nintendo game. The saving grace is there are some steering wheel mounted audio controls. The other thing that I don't like is buttons here, buttons here, buttons here. It needs to be tidied up. The Mini's drawback is, of course, trunk space. With the seats in the upright position, there's very little. Folding them down does open up some more, but it still ends up being a little cramped. Combine the engine's newfound work ethic with a slick 6-speed manual box and the Cooper S is deceptively quick. It runs from rest to 100 kilometers an hour in 6.9 seconds, which is pretty good. In the mid-range, however, things really start to come together. The 5-second 80 to 120k sprint, in 4th gear no less, is strong enough to put a big smile on the driver's face, especially when out dragging a supposedly faster car. A Porsche Boxster in my case. Holy boy, this thing is a marvel through the pylons, and it boils down to two important things. First of all, a rock-solid chassis. Second of all, a finely tuned suspension. What makes it all the more remarkable is the fact that because this is a front-wheel drive car, a lot of the weight is up front. Now that usually means a lot of understeer. Not so with the Cooper S. It actually remains remarkably neutral right the way to the edge of the envelope. And that's on winter tyres. Can you imagine how good this thing will be when you've got proper summer radials? I can only wish. If you're serious about the Cooper S, one of the options that's a must is the Sport package. Along with a firmer suspension and nicer wheels, come 205 40R17 run-flat tyres. This package ups the lateral grip while keeping the car flatter than gravy on a plate as one encroaches on the ragged edge. The fact the ride comfort remains entirely livable is a bonus. The S's large brakes follow this lead, bringing short 39-metre stops from 100k. There's also a plethora of electronic helpers, everything from traction and dynamic stability control to a function that holds the Mini on a hill, which eases the hill start process. You know, redesigning any car today is an iffy proposition. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Mini wins because this new Cooper S represents a quantum leap over the vehicle it replaces, and it was no slouch itself. Indeed, if Sir Alekis Agonis were around today, the designer of that original Mini, I think he would be as enthusiastic about the new car as I am.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are Cadillac, and this is what we build.
The important part of being in any brand, but importantly in luxury, where many of the vehicles look similar, and Cadillac's point of differentiation has really been to take design outside of the norm and become distinctive. And distinctive comes with, well, some like it, some don't, but importantly, those that do like it really like it and are very passionate about the design. So the challenge for our designers was to take already a very successful design, raise the bar, keep it distinctive, but also elegant and luxurious in what customers expect in this area of the business. In trying to broadcast through the design the performance of the vehicle, not just the looks of the vehicle, important to that is the way the vehicle just sits. So it's got still a very sporty stance, sort of back to front, but also we've widened the track of the vehicle a couple inches to give it very broad shoulders, and the wheel wells, as they're exaggerated with the styling here, to really demonstrate that this vehicle, wants to go right away.
You know, you gotta love car designers. They come up with some of the wildest things and some pretty cool cars, and they also get their inspiration from some weird places. I remember one vehicle, forget which vehicle it was, but the designer was inspired by a hiking boot. Well, here in California, at Mitsubishi, at their presentation, really came up with a new twist. Are you ready for this? They say owning a car is like a relationship. The exterior of the car is like the courtship. You fall in love with what's on the outside, but the inside is like the marriage. This is what you're stuck living with day in and day out. And of course, their designers want to make sure you can live day to day in all their vehicles. But okay, are you ready for this now? We're talking owning a vehicle is like being in a marriage. Well, I know one guy who probably has a few opinions on that, and that's our man in the Quaker State Garage, Bill Gardner.
Brad always likes to set me up with these suicidal intros or throws. You know, Brad, I'm not touching it with a 10-foot pole, but I'll tell you what, I will give you the light truck version or analogy of what you just said, and that would be like 1988, I guess, when Dodge came out with the Cummins turbo diesel engine in their pickup truck. Now, if you remember those Dodge pickups in 1988, there was nothing to love about the outside of them. I mean, they were butt ugly. They were a strong truck, but you definitely didn't fall in love with the outside looks of the truck. You fell in love with what was under the hood or what was inside, and that was that Cummins turbo diesel engine. Now back then, GM and Ford had significantly beaten Chrysler to the punch with diesel engines. GM had diesels in 1978 in their pickup trucks, and Ford in 1983 put a diesel engine that they bought from Navistar or International Trucks under the hood of their trucks. Now the GM and Ford trucks were both V8 normally aspirated diesels, so they weren't all that powerful, and compared to the Cummins turbo diesel that Dodge came out with in '88, the GM and Ford were pretty pathetic, pretty anemic power-wise. The Cummins turbo diesel had huge power in comparison. Now it was really noisy, but I'll tell you, people that bought those trucks didn't care a darn about the noise. They loved the power, the durability, the reliability of those engines, and just having a Cummins diesel under the hood, that sold tens of thousands of trucks for Chrysler just on the strength of that engine alone. The big rig guys bought them for that engine. Now I'm going to start up this 2007 Ram, and you can hear the power of that Cummins turbo engine right away, and boy, when you jump behind the wheel of this thing, you really feel it. The low end and the mid-range torque that is inherent with an inline six-cylinder engine and its long stroke is very apparent when you drive this truck. This thing just pulls like a freight train from any speed with any amount of load in the box or towed behind it. It's really got the power. Now it's still pretty noisy. They've toned the noise down over the years, and they've evolved that 5.9 liter inline six-cylinder engine significantly over the years. They quietened it down, they put a 24 valve head on it, which improved the airflow and breathing and increased the power level and efficiency of that engine tremendously. But they're about to change this 5.9 liter inline six to a 6.7 liter inline six-cylinder engine. It'll still have gobs of torque, but they're really going to clean up the exhaust side of that engine, and they're going to do it with a diesel oxidization catalyst and a diesel particulate filter in the exhaust stream of that engine. Now when you strangle down the exhaust a little bit on any engine, you reduce a little bit of its power, so they've bumped the displacement up to 6.7 liters to offset that. Now this engine will be out very soon in the Dodge pickup trucks, and you know, Dodge has been on the top of the diesel engine heap right since '88 when they came out with this Cummins engine, and they're still selling lots of trucks on the strength of that Cummins engine. And I'm here to tell you, they're not about to lose that. You can be sure that that new 6.7 engine is going to be everything this one was. Powerful, durable, easy to maintain, great on fuel when it's loaded, lots of power. So you can look forward to them holding #1 position when it comes to light truck diesels. Till next week, I'm Bill Gardner for Motoring 2007.
You almost have to be as old as I am to remember when Volvo had a sporting image. Now, a lot of people thought the early Volvos looked like the 1948 Ford. The fact is, the 48 Ford looked like the 1944 Volvo. I even had one of those cars as a kid. It was a great car. Yeah, it was maybe a little funny looking, but it was tough and was durable as you'd expect from a Volvo, but it was also powerful, a lot of fun to drive. But in the 60s, Volvo started building cars that frankly looked like the boxes they came in. Yeah, they were practical and durable and safe, a little bit on the boring side. As Dudley Moore said in the movie Crazy People, Volvo, they're boxy, but they're good. But now government regulations are requiring every car maker to build safe cars, so how can Volvo separate themselves from the pack? Well, they've decided to go back to the sporty image. And this is the best example. That's the C30 Coupe. Now, to me, that's a really pretty car. It was designed by a guy named Simon Lamar, and if that sounds like a French name, well, head of the class for you. He was born in Montreal, now living in Sweden. Remember that name. This kid's going a long way. This is really pretty. To me, it looks a little bit like the Honda Civic hatchbacks of a few years ago, but mostly it looks like the P1800 ES, which was the final version of Volvo's sports car. Anybody here remember the Saint with Roger Moore? You really got to be old to remember that. Anyway, being a Volvo, it's got to have practicality, so it's got the hatchback, it's got the folding back seats, and of course it's got all the Volvo safety stuff, airbags all over the place. As far as I can see, there's two challenges Volvo's got with this car. First of all, the two-door wagon concept, kind of a compact station wagon thing, it's never worked in the marketplace. I don't understand why, because you think something that's both sporting and practical would be a no-brainer. But everybody from Isuzu to Lancia to Toyota to Honda has tried this, and it's never succeeded. Maybe this will be the one that makes it work. The second issue, Volvo has recently announced they're discontinuing the R series of high-performance motor cars. So they're adding sportiness with this car and taking sportiness away somewhere else. Maybe there's a master plan that you have to be Swedish to understand. But the bottom line in the car business is styling sells. And if you don't think that's a gorgeous car, what's wrong with you? I'm Jim Kenzie.
Earlier we saw 98% of Canadians don't put Mitsubishi on their shopping list when looking for a vehicle. And of course the company is hoping that will change. Well, we got some early indications here in Southern California that they may, and for the better. We were driving the red Lancer, came up to a stoplight. Guy came up beside us, he gave us a thumbs up, asked us about the vehicle and when it would be available, and then he drove off. Well, he was driving a Subaru WRX, which I know will bring smiles to the faces of you executives at Mitsubishi. You see, Mitsubishi is promising in the near future a rally version of the new Lancer, and we know it'll be aimed directly at that Subaru. As for the Lancer itself, I like the car, although I'm not a big fan of those CVT transmissions, especially in the smaller vehicles. So if you're going to buy a Lancer, go with the Sport Shift or a Standard. It takes on a whole new personality, and for the better. Anyway, Graham, of course, will have a closer look at both the Lancer and the Outlander on a future test drive. That's it for now. We'll see you next time out as we continue to bring you more stories about cars and the people who drive them.
Nobody uses these things off-road, but it looks like it can go off-road. It has that capability, the durability, but this incredible luxury. You know, and they're on a roll right now. And this new LR2 that they've introduced really will help them step up and increase that image.
TSN's Motoring 2007 has been brought to you by Q from Quaker State. Unleash all your horses. And Michelin, a better way forward.